Hello, this is Alex Nesbitt with Digital Podcast. I'm here today with a video podcast tutorial on how to subscribe to a podcast and get the podcast into your iTunes player. To find the podcast, or to get a podcast into your player, you need to find what's called the podcast feed, or alternatively might be described as the podcast RSS, which is a code for really simple syndication. But this file that we're talking about is this feed or RSS file is really just a list of the shows that are or episodes that appear in that podcast, and it is just like any other page or file on the web. It has an address on the web, and it's basically the domain or URL for that file. On the digital podcast directory, at the bottom of every description, you can find a link to how to subscribe to this show. If you click on it, it should open up a box where you can copy the podcast feed for that podcast. So I will highlight it and hit Control-C on my Windows machine. Okay. Alternatively, I can grab the podcast feed from down here. Now, once I have the podcast feed, I need to go to my iTunes player and open up my iTunes player. And you'll see here, if I go to the top of the player, I go to the Advanced tab. If I click on the Advanced tab, and then I get some options. The third one down is called Subscribe to Podcast. I click on Subscribe to Podcast. I hit Control-V to paste the podcast feed address into this dialog box that comes up in iTunes. I hit OK. Now this takes me to the Podcast tab, which you'll find here in your library, down about the fourth one down, at least in my iTunes. And that you can see here, it's added this podcast into my iTunes player. And you'll see this little spinning ball over here on the left, which is indicating that it's starting to download podcasts for this podcast. Now I'd like to actually get more than just the most recent episode. So if I click on this little arrow, downturn arrow here, you can see that I have some options here. I have I've downloaded this one with a little blue dot, which means I haven't listened to it. But this one here, which is our podcast, which is our interview with Kina Granis about her attempts to crash the Super Bowl. If you want to learn more about Kina, you can visit it, learn more about it on the website. But if I want to get more shows from this podcast, I can click on the Get. I can select any one of these that I'd like to actually have downloaded into my iTunes player, or alternatively I can select Get All, which will download all of these podcasts into my player. Now the other thing I might want to do is, since some people publish multiple podcasts in any given day, I'd like to have iTunes set up so that whenever it sees multiple podcasts show up, to download all of them as opposed to just in the last show that's been posted in the RSS feed. To do that, I go to the Edit tab, select Preferences. Then I get a menu dialog box here from iTunes. I want to select Podcast tab. And here I have some options. I can choose when podcasts get downloaded into my iTunes. I select every day. That seems to be a good frequency. I have some options for which episodes to download. Most typical setting you'll see is probably download the most recent one. I like to set download all. That way, if I have more than one podcast come in on a given day, all of the podcasts will download into my player. And then I'd like to keep all episodes. I also could choose to only keep unplayed episodes, most recent episodes, or some number of episodes. And if you're somewhat of a disk shortage, you may want to select one of these options. I like to keep them all in and delete them after I've listened to them. Select OK. And that's pretty much it for how you get a podcast into your podcast player. And if I would like to, if I need to actually remove a podcast, all I do is select the podcast, right-click, delete the podcast. It'll ask me if I want to remove it, and then I move it to the recycle bin. And that's how you get podcasts in and out of your iTunes player. And that completes this video tutorial from Digital Podcast. If you'd like to visit us at digitalpodcast.com, where we've got lots of news about podcasting and new media, and a whole big directory of podcasts that are great for that new podcast player you just bought or just got for Christmas. Thanks. This is Alex signing out. Bye now.